One of the greatest Muppet songs I think ever written by Paul Williams is in Emmett Otter's Christmas. It's called "When the River Meets the Sea."
Yeah, when the river meets the sea. Yeah, it's a good one.
Song.
It's a beautiful song. Yeah.
So, what we were going through a roster of some of the characters that you've been responsible for. Give us a list, current. Some of your highlights.
Well, I took on some of Jim's characters after he passed. So I in Jim's list, I do Ralph the dog, the Swedish Chef, Dr. Teeth.
Yeah.
Mana.
All right. Well, hold on. Before you go on any further, the Swedish Chef. When you're, is there a script to that, or is it just, you know what I mean? Is it just a vague idea of what kind of gibberish you're going to be saying?
Yeah. It's interesting. Actually, there's kind of an outline, in a sense, to what's supposed to happen in the scene, and people have certainly written as best they can what they think the chef is going to say.
Right, yeah.
But ultimately, it just comes out as a big Swedish mess, and I just try and find certain words that help make that point or the joke come across, just enough for people to be able to follow, but just enough for them to go, what the hell is he saying?
Right.
No idea what's going on.
Well, to give us an example, could you, wish the people of Philadelphia a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year? And
okay.
As a Swedish Chef, I'd just like to hear what that would sound like.
Yes, it's for the wishing the Philippines. It's for the Christmas, it's the fun to
That's great.
Bill,
that never gets old.
No, never.
Ever.
And Bill, I've loved the Muppets since I was a kid. I remember clearly waiting to stay up and watch it, and that was sort of a family experience for me when I was a child. And then the movies were wonderful. Casey and I are huge fans of the Muppets Take Manhattan. And then the franchise continued to exist, but it kind of got away a little bit from Jim Henson's original vision. And what I loved most about the Muppets movie that came out last year, the Jason Segel version, was that it really held true to it. And on top of that, the voices were the same again. The voices weren't these bastardizations of Kermit and Swedish Chef and whatever else. And I imagine that's an enormous sense of pride for you to be able to replicate what Jim Henson was able to do the first time around.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's been this pretty much a lot of the same group the whole time. I mean, the same guy that does Gonzo is Gonzo. Our good friend Jerry Nelson, who did many of the characters, he passed away recently. But up until then, that was Jerry. I obviously came in later, and I'm doing some of Jim's, and Steve Whitmire has been with them for years, has been doing them. So really all the characters and the voices have been, because we are kind of one and the same. The guys that manipulate the characters and create the characters are the same ones who do the voices. So I think it's just been a nice kind of refreshing of story and getting back to some of that just simple craziness without thinking about it too much and just having some fun.
That might have been it. I mean, perhaps it was just it was a tonal shift back to the original, feeling of the Muppets. But I always, the guys who came in and tried to pick up where Mel Blanc had left off, I always thought, man, that's a tough gig to go in and do that. And then when you go in and you're going to take a crack at Jim Henson's characters, you must have been sweating bullets.
Well, yeah, because you're really doing an impersonation at best, because the characters, like I said, because the guys who perform the characters are those characters, and it comes from somewhere in them. So, like from some of the characters that I do that I created, like a guy named Pepe, he's a little the Spanish king prawn.
Yeah,
I mean that comes, even though it's a character that I met outside of myself, it was based on my wife's aunt, it's still, the character is a part of me in some way. And so for me to try and recreate somebody else's character is very difficult. But I think Gene brought up, that this idea of the group is still kind of moving forward in the presence of Jim, in a sense of his, his overall being. We all have that feeling from him. And so I think we just try and do the best we can and make that feeling come through, even though it's not instinctually or innately ours.
I have to ask you, with the Barretta brothers, why didn't you guys end up as mercenaries?
We were as kids.
Yeah, I mean that's the coolest name. We better call the Barretta brothers on this one. We'll send them in.
it's so interesting too because I actually wouldn't be doing any of this, and this is the truth. If it wasn't for my brother, because he was it's the truth. I mean, he was the ringleader when we were kids. He decided what we were going to do, what home movies we were going to make.
Oh yeah.
He would create the ideas, the stories, direct them, and then put me in them, make me jump off of the roof of the house, and all those kinds of things.
You had a Super 8?
Yes.
Yeah, that was an awesome tool when you were a kid. I mean, we obviously have the video and stuff like now, but those Super 8 cameras.
Yeah, waiting weeks for it to come back from the developer to see if you're all these shots from messed
in-camera editing.
Yeah. Our executive producer was our mom. She had all the cash.
Yeah, I know that. I've been to that movie theater.
But Gene, who in the family is considered the more successful of the two of you? Who gets the top billing?
Billy, do you want to answer that?
I think, it's clear that you both did the deal. I mean, literature-wise, you'll take that?
Sure, I'll take that.
Well, one of the benefits and successes you guys have both had, and I was emailing back and forth with Gene about it, but have you both had Muppets characters named after yourselves at this point?
I've named a couple after my brother, but I don't think there's one named after me, actually.
And who was the one that was recently named? It was in the Muppets movie, right?
Yeah, Gene. Yeah, he's a big gold. I don't know if you guys saw the movie. He's in it a few times, but he's a big orange monster, and he. When they kidnap Jack Black, they're in the makeup room. They've got him tied up, and he just turns to Jack at one point. Jack realizes he's been kidnapped, and this character Gene turns to him and just says, "You sure got nice teeth, Jack Black." Just out of nowhere,
Hey,
that's great.
Bill, we were looking at a picture of Pepe, the king prawn, and he's got such an outrageous look about him, with that hair and the really big eyes.
Very handsome guy.
Well, here's my question: does that voice come first, or does the puppet, does the look, the concept of what he's going to look like come?
Actually, for me, usually the characters come first because it's usually something that I've seen or someone I've met or something outside of me, that I pick up on. Like I said, my wife's aunt was just like Pepe. I mean, pretty much that's who Pepe is. I mean, she was a very mischievous, funny lady. And she would always, I just thought it was so unusual that this woman would always speak to me in statements. She never said a question.
Right.
So she'd say, "Come on, Bill, we go to the mall, okay?" And I'd say, "Oh, okay." She'd say, "Come on, Bill, we get in the car, okay?"
Right.
I'd say, "Okay." And I just thought that was funny. And then you start to collaborate with the other people, the designers and the artists and the builders, and then you start to come up with, well, what is this character? And in describing my wife's aunt, she was actually honestly she's kind of selfish in a way, and she would steal things every once in a while, and she loved her stuff. And so in describing it, I actually slipped up and I said, Pepe, he should be very, he's probably very shellfish. And I said, no, not shellfish. And then somebody said, oh, he could be a lobster, or he could be a crab. How about a king prawn, and all that stuff. So it was a very collaborative process once I think I kind of found the character or who he was a bit.
Okay.
That's great.
I love that.